think it was really straightforward to implement everything.
Oh, okay, okay. One thing is, did you ever think about having I don't know if you played Unreal Tournament back in the day?
Yes.
If you remember mutators, did you ever consider like having modifiers in Porcunipine, like having spikes bounce a number of times?
Yes, yes. We actually have some prototypes of that, but we didn't finish any enough things to actually add as a feature. But we had at least 5 or 6 modifiers.
Yeah, we have like these little items that you can catch the item and everyone will like shrink and be really fast, or all the spikes will bounce many times off the walls. But we didn't think.
We still need more work for it to actually be a true feature for the game.
Because you can't just be like, hey, this is cool, and just throw it in there.
Yeah. We need to test a lot. We need to really see that it's adding to the game and not just something there that doesn't make much sense. We still need to see what is the best way to add it to the game.
How we're gonna use it actually.
Yeah.
And you know what? It makes me the happiest about this scoreboard screen. Even though you've been defeated, at least your butt cheeks are given the dignity and respect of not being included in defeat. The blue guy, he's dazed, he's a little bloodied, but at the end of the day, he still got his pride and joy. That's beautiful right there.
Everyone gets a medal, even if you're the last place. You still have like your little poop medal to make you happy.
Look, I don't know if poop medals are traditionally known as joy-inducing.
They should.
They should, yes. Like, children, you tried your best. Here's some food. So when you were
it's better than the participation medals.
Yeah, like a prize for.
When you were in the early development stages, how did you avoid scope creep?
Sorry.
Scope creep? What does that?
You know how you're prototyping ideas for the game? How did you avoid just having too many ideas to where it just took longer and longer and longer to develop?
Well, since the starting of the project, we had this like constraint of holding the game to be a simple game, like forever. And every time we had some crazy ideas, just like we were saying, to add modifiers or special items, power-ups, we were like constantly aware of the problems that could emerge from the game becoming like a very complex game.
So you were constantly reevaluating.
Yeah.
Yes.
One thing that I think helped a lot was to have this mentality that we would test everything as fast as we could build it. So we have a new feature, go test it. It works. Okay, it doesn't work. Just scratch it off. So I think that's refrains us from having like this huge complex game that we're then test and then have to pick up the pieces of the problematic sources of this.
Yeah, and we always liked that the game is so simple that everyone can just pick up and play the game. It doesn't matter if you're like a child or even an adult with no experience in gaming. It's like the directional buttons and one action button, so it's very simple.
I'd hate to be the parent that has to explain to his kid, like, what's this metal? It's a brown tower. You actually won the entire game.
It's chocolate ice cream, but just the top part.
Yep.
That's a cool.
So the scoring system, I'm sorry, the bots. The bots are very brutal. How do you determine the difficulty of the bots, making them not too easy, but also not too hard?
The bots was actually our first experiment with an AI controlling the game. And at first, when we got it working and we saw it was a possible feature for the game, we started to test it out, and it was actually playing the game really well. And it was really hard to beat the bots sometimes because they were always dodging the shots at the last moment. You shoot something, they're standing still in a place, and then they just bounce around and you don't hit them.
Like they were robots.
Yeah, exactly.
So actually, the challenge was not making bots, but it was making them dumber.
Yes,
exactly.
It was a mix of making them a little bit more human and adding a little bit more mistakes in the behavior and fixing bugs because they were getting stuck all the time. Somewhere there was a bot that couldn't walk around and that was hitting a rock, and you couldn't kill him because he would dodge the shot, but he were not moving from there to somewhere else.
Like they had some behaviors that would like completely break the game sometimes. Maybe they had like these little patterns that they would search for their spikes some way or search for their skull some way that you could like sit on their spikes, see them go nowhere, and just kill them and finish the game. And that's these little things that were like getting picked up and worked on throughout the development. I think Danilo worked on the boss like to the very last day.
Yeah, they still have some issues, but today at least they work as best as they could have them working.
Yeah, I think actually, and you guys just released one thing I'd like to ask you about is like content, adding content, because shortly after release you guys added a big update with trading cards and a ton of maps. Like it had like 5 before, I think you expanded that to like 20 or 30, 25, 25.
Yeah, 30, we have 30 maps. 30
wow.
Maps. We do think about new content as we mentioned. The modifiers and power-up items may come in a future update if we test those to be like a good feature for the game. We do have like these things that we want to grow the game somehow, give people more content, but we don't actually have
a timeline for it.
A timeline and a deadline for it.
Yes! 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 Carry on.
Yeah, you beat the bots.
I did, and I feel wonderful. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Academy.
To put more things in the game, you just don't know
John
when,
Connor
how, and what. Yeah, you just got the John Connor
achievement.
Oh, sweet. So, when Skynet eventually comes to avenge itself of humanity, they're going to come for game developers first for dumbing down its robot brethren.
Yeah.
Of course.
Forget John Connor. We need to take care of Big Green Pillow now.
Well, I guess we still got the codes for the super expert bots to combat them, so it's fine.
Maybe we can start Skynet.
Yeah.
Like with porcupines that are bought.
This sounds like the way the apocalypse started. Like, hey, why don't we like prototype that? Why don't we do a game dev jam? And then suddenly Skynet emerges, and it's your fault.
Yeah.
Speaking of sound effects, you had a member of the team do the sound effects, and also you had someone else do the music, right?
Yes.
The sound effects are really great. How did you make the sound effects? Like the sound effect when you fire a shot, for example.
Oh, they are mainly like organic sound effects. like just objects that we bump with another and record them, and just like cut some pieces out and glue them together to get some different effects. But most of them are like mouth bizarre sounds.
So, for example, how was that in execution like? Were you like, okay, we need a sound for rocks coming down? Did you like hit rocks together? Did you go like, boosh, 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 boosh?
Yeah, specifically for the rocks, I guess I downloaded like some explosions of rocks and just mixed together with, I guess, if I'm correct, some trash cans being kicked, something like that.
Ah, okay.
The most fun from the sound effects, I guess, were the enemies and the porcupines themselves, because it was very funny to record them, because I always like get inside a room and close the door and just started shouting bizarre sounds and recording them.
Yeah, Diego would go to another room, he said, because of the noise isolation stuff. But I think he was just a little ashamed to be grudging.
A little bit of both. I didn't want like lots of laughter in the background, so.
Oh man, so was there ever anything that you cut from the game because it was too crazy or too complicated? Can you give us an example of something and why you cut it?
Too crazy, maybe too complex. There are a couple of things, like the items, for example, one thing that we thought was like too chaotic, the way we were using. Yeah, we didn't have like this slow-mo feature that when the quill would like barely hit you, we'd like put the game in slow motion, have a like Matrix, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that turned out to be really annoying because it happened all the time. It was fun, but happened all the time.
It was a cool feature, but we didn't find the right place to use it, so we decided not to have it. At least till we have a better idea.
So it was like watching not just that one scene, but the entire Matrix film in slow motion, the entire time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like everybody.
It was cool because you were about to hit someone, and then the game was enter a slow motion.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was easier for the other guy to dodge the shot because it was in slow motion, and it happened too frequently as well. Yeah. So we didn't.
Do you know in the game, whenever like a shot close calls you and like take off some of your hair, and the crowd go, oh,
yeah,
all the time. So imagine that all the time the crowd goes like this. It should be in slow motion during this test. So it was very frequent and frustrating.
So instead of that, you have some like really awesome screen shake.
Yeah. We still like the slow motion thing. Maybe in the future we can like feed it in some feature or something.
Yeah, maybe in the last death or something like that.
Did you just say the last bath?
The last death.
Excellent.
Oh. Yeah, the last bath.
You achieved something.
So, so who designed the sound for the booty wiggle?
Booty wiggle?
The
sound for the booty wiggle?
You mean the sound when he speaks in the character selection screen?
Maybe maybe that's what I'm thinking about. All I remember is that it just seemed like there was a sound.
Yeah, you pick the character and it goes.
Yeah, it's also me. I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, but it was me.
Diego's first job as an actor.
And actually, did you? Speaking of acting and different stuff that perhaps you didn't study for, did you study specifically game design? Is that what you guys went to college for, or did you guys meet each other for different disciplines and were like, okay, let's make a game now?
Yeah, actually, Diego and I, we studied graphic design, and Danilo and Marcos, the other guys, it's system information.
Computer science.